All right, here we go. Back with our girl, Bean in the Bat, uh, Free Hiller.
Healer. I love that. You're gonna have to tell me more about that.
Free Hiller. We'll get into Free Hiller in a second. But as always, I want to give Hiller his flowers. Um, and his flowers is I mean, so much has happened this week. Like I can't even wrap my mind around it. But Hiller's flowers, bridging the gap between Athena and Stu. That's the first flower I'd like to hand out.
That was a good one.
I mean, we'll go there, but yep. Telling Danny Spiegel that she's working on her form and made a positive video about Danny Spiegel. That's a flower. He didn't have to do that. And also, the number one flower would be the Haley Adams video, which I thought was freaking fire. And yes, Heidi, it's The Bachelorette. In a very petty wop Wednesday.
Kind of
Oh.
way.
Thank you, Philip.
But yeah, the Haley Adams video really was the one that got me the most. And we'll get into that because I thought that what he put out was he didn't have to do that, and he did it. And yeah, so Hiller flowers.
Flowers. Bouquet. Always the
Thank,
start.
thank you, John.
Oh, what did I miss? All the C4 she's crushing.
Yeah, this is when I say it's the C4.
Are you addicted yet? I saw that question.
No, I bought 2 when I went to the store, and I liked it because he had me try it when I went out there, and I actually like them a lot. Am I gonna like have them as permanent fixtures in the fridge? I don't know. I actually prefer these.
Yeah, but you went out and got Ghost.
I did Ghost because Hobart dropped the challenge. So I was like, we'll do it.
How was Ghost compared to C4?
Ghost is
Intense.
hardcore.
Intense.
It's intense. Every single flavor is like so sour.
Did you get the tingles?
I was gonna the face tingles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How was that? Did you freak out on the first one?
No, not really. I mean, to be honest with you, this is going to sound really stupid, but I don't drink energy drinks. So this was kind of like the first time.
The first time I ever got the beta alamine face tingles, I was like, what is happening? Like, I want to scratch my face off right now. What are we doing?
No, I never really had them.
Oh, yeah, no. I gave it to her. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, let's go. Pre-workout. Let's roll. And she was like, no.
Yeah, I only did pre-workout once, and this was way back before we even started CrossFit, like years ago. And we were at the gym, and I could feel myself getting hot. And then I was like, why is my face? And I was like, oh my God, make it stop. And I felt like it was like psychotic because my face was so itchy. But the energy drinks, I don't drink C4. I have a Celsius once in a while if I want it. But the C4 I had once with you when Hill Street opened.
Yeah.
And I was like, this shit is disgusting.
When I was at Hill's house, he was making this little video, and I think he actually shared it on his Instagram where he was like dropping the ball ice cube in the cup, and I was talking to him about it, and I was like, well, what is that? And he's like, well, it's a pre-workout. And I'm like, well, what is that? He's like, what do you mean you've never had a pre-workout before? I'm like, no.
Well, you got to go. That's where I wanted to start, is the visit. Was it everything that you was everything you wanted it to be? Did it everything you hoped? He ran out, he gave you a big hug, and then any stress levels melted away, or no, still stress levels?
No, I'd say when that happened, there wasn't I mean, there was no stress from me in terms of like being nervous about, being there one-on-one. I think the part of the nervousness and anxiety was coming from like the constant, like we communicate differently. And so, like, I think he said it really well in the podcast. It was like this constant, like, us trying to figure each other out,
Yeah.
So I think that can cause a little anxiety because you don't know.
I thought he did a great job of it. Like,
Yeah, he did.
and even you figuring out how to communicate with him.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Like,
I'm still learning that. That's
well, I mean, yeah, it's
a
ongoing.
work in progress, right?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Wait, well, what type of coach was he? Was he that initial like bulldog coach? Like you know, uh, army, high level sports. I'm used to it. I've had them all, and so
Mhm.
for someone who maybe hasn't had like that kind of, you know, bulldog coach, was that weird for you?
Um, yes. Yes. He's pretty hardcore. Like he's like a no fuss. Like as soon as you get in there and you start working out, like it's a no fuss, like, you know.
Yeah, if you have feelings, have your own feelings by yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I don't want to know about your feelings right now. I just want
No,
you
no, he's not
not
like
that.
that. No, 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 no. Like he definitely picks up on I think he's really good with noticing like facial expressions and like if an eyebrow goes up, he notices and then he
Gotcha.
starts interpreting like no, he's really good at that. He doesn't disregard something that he picks up on. He asks questions, but he's just very like fast and he's very direct. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when you're working out. And then
Yeah.
you can discuss it later, but in the workout while you were in the gym, it was like, okay, what's your question? Okay, here's the answer. Let's get on to the next one.
Yeah. Like I think a really good example is when he's telling the story about we don't miss snatches, right? So he's telling this story. And this is how he does a lot of his communicating is he tells a lot of stories and he tells a lot of analogies. So I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, I think I'm following. And then all of a sudden, if you guys notice the video, he's like, okay, now get on the box, go. I'm like, right now? Oh shit. He's talking, you know what I mean? Okay. And there's no time to process. It's just go, which is great. I loved it, but it's different.
Well, I think it takes you to a next level. I think that's something maybe you can say that you learned from Hiller. It's a different type of coaching and how to adapt to a different type of coaching.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So the theme of the weekend was like be brave and do hard things, and that's what I got out of a lot of the videos that you and the content that you guys put out was you're trying to be brave. And he was helping you find that brave in you, find that, I can do this. You know what I'm saying?
He and I don't remember if it was on day 1 or day 2, but we're sitting down and we're talking and he was like when he was telling me like I want you to be more brave, it came from a place of like I know you have it in you to do and say things you want to say. He like that actually came up multiple times. Like I feel like you want to say something and you're not. Like he's very aware in that way. Like
You did.
he senses hesitation very quickly.
Okay.
And
Well,
so
oh no, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, so when there's hesitation, like that's usually a sign that,
He'll stop and think and be like, "Hey, what's happening?"
or he'll address it like, or, he'll say like, why the pause?
Yeah.
What's going on? Something like that.
Because the two things that you said that you were the most nervous for was when he filmed you walking through the grocery store, and then of course like making a Hiller video. You made a Hiller video. I'd put that on a bucket list.
Mm.
Like if you could not be the subject of a Hiller video,
Yeah, I was gonna say
but
different kind of Hiller.
but be part of a Hiller video. Is that felt to me when you were talking about it as something that you were the most fearful of or the most anxious about, but you faced it.
Well, like we're walking through the parking lot and it was kind of like his setup for his phone. I mean, it started getting like looks and stuff like right when we walked in the door. And I'm like, I come from like, I've attracted attention my whole life and it's not usually a good thing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I didn't like the people like, it was freaking me out. Like people looking at you like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So that part made me nervous because normally when that happens to me, it's not a good thing,
Yeah.
And so again, like it's something that he picked up on right away. And I was like, oh, like, are we allowed? So mine, the way that I approached the store, I was like, wait a minute, like, are we allowed to go into Costco and just film? Or like, we allowed to do that? And he was like, no, like it's easier. And then he does that. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. He's like, we don't ask for permission. Like, oh, okay.
So after the Hiller video, how, like, what was that feeling? Like when you finished it, when when you guys stopped filming and you cut and like just finishing it and knowing that he had all that footage, what was that, like a scary feeling? Was that an anxious feeling right afterwards? It's like, hey, I did it. I did something scary, but oh, there's something else scary to come, which is him like putting that video out there.
Yes. We talked about it going into that day because it's a topic that comes up with him and I. And there were some things that were driving me crazy. And I think that the biggest one was not having the separation of, hey, this is who I am and this is who this person is. And we are not the same. We're not in the same camp. We're different people. And I feel like it was bound to happen sooner or later. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was going to happen through a Hiller video, but it wasn't like a foreign, like this needs to happen.
Yeah.
It was just.
I was just crazy because even right after he pushed the button and it went live and he let you know that the video went live, like anxious, adrenaline rush, like, holy crap, I just did a Hiller video.
Oh no, like my response was just OMFG. I'm like, he actually did it, like, oh, like Athena, prepare. Yeah,
it's happening. And
but
was it like an influx of everything right after? Did you
no,
have time to breathe? Yeah.
no,
Okay.
not really. And in fact, I mean, when there started to be people that had watched it and people were reaching out, honestly, they were commenting on things that I wasn't prepared for. I thought, they were going to come after me because they were like, well, she moves better than you, or I don't know what I was preparing for. It wasn't that, but no, it was all about pregnancy stuff. And I'm like, that was a topic that I didn't even take a specific interest in. Like, I didn't even care she was pregnant. It wasn't even like my area of interest, but that's what people, I had every pregnant woman in CrossFit coming after my DMs,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hiller can't guarantee this type of shit. What do you mean? I'm like, is that what he said?
When you did the response video, I think you did it. I think both of you did it pretty well.
I just felt like enough people had asked the question that I was like, maybe this needs like some clarification, because I know that's not what he meant, but maybe if it came across that way, like, let's have an opportunity to like clarify. And he did, and it was great.
And the way that you guys, like, the way that you helped him talk it out, right? Like, I know he was not trying to walk it back. I know he was, still steadfast that being fit pregnant is probably, it gives you lesser risk of anything happening, but at the same time, it doesn't guarantee any. But I think you guys did a good job of that. I really do.
You know what I thought was really funny? One of my observations was he says right out of the gate, well, I'll walk it back, but I'm not going to walk it back that
Yeah.
far.
Right. Yeah.
And inadvertently, it was a walk back. It was, well, I don't even want to say it was a walk. It was a
I don't think so.
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It was a misinterpretation. Is that the right word even?
I think you helped him. I think you helped him talk out what he was trying to say and couldn't get it across very well. And I thought that was very cool.
It could have also been too in the initial video saying anything about her being pregnant, even just the statement of saying she is pregnant.
Yeah.
People can fixate on that. So then
sure.
immediately it's like, oh my God, they're talking about this, they're doing this, they're talking about this. How dare you do this? How dare you do that? And they don't actually listen to the rest of the conversation, which, like you said, that wasn't the main purpose of the conversation. It was a very small part of the conversation, but in every conversation that we have, most of us being people, fixate on one thing. If there's one thing that's triggering, if there's one thing that you want to focus on. So I'm sure a lot of people were like, well, how dare they do that? And how dare they do that? And then you getting these DMs and these messages of people making awful comments about you and how dare you and all these type of things. Like, it's like, hold on, relax. We don't have to be attacking because nobody was attacking, you know?
There was definitely one that got a little aggressive, but I was like, I'm not saying, and I don't even think that Hiller was saying that there aren't exceptions. Like this, first of all, this wasn't about you. And two, I don't think he meant it so black and white, like, oh, I'm guaranteeing if you are healthy, your pregnancy is going to go. That's never what he meant to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I knew that.
How did you feel when because I saw you put up some stories about people coming after Hiller, and saying, just, hey, I love you, but I can't support Hiller. Hey, love your journey, love watching you reach your goals, but I can't support Hiller. What was that? What's that like for you? Because you obviously, he's invested in you, you're invested in him. You guys have a bond. How's that like? How is that for you when that, because I mean, 3 months ago, well, yeah, 3 months ago, you might have been on the same bandwagon and now you're not, and seeing other people say that about him, how's that for you?
That's a great question. I think if you remember, and I think that you could testify to this, is we had a lot of conversations about Hiller prior to January 8th, and they were not.
Oh, January 8th is D-Day. Got it. Yep. Okay.
8th is D-Day, right? The post day, or whenever that original post went out, it might have been, was it the 6th? When did it get posted?
Oh, shut up. If it's January 6th, I'm done for the whole. Go ahead, babe.
Go ahead,
find it. If it's January.
Oh, no.
The original one. Him, you're talking about asking him, right?
Yeah, asking him. Yeah.
I was like, what day was that? Oh, no.
It's okay.
Close. The 7th.
Oh, the 7th.
Okay.
The 7th.
All right, you're safe. You're safe, girl. You're safe.
7th. Yep.
Anyway, we talked multiple times about Hiller, and I don't think I ever hit it. I couldn't stand him.
Yeah.
But again, my only visibility was those videos. And yes, Savon had said this or that, or yes, or oh, he's such a good guy. And I'm like, fuck that. No, he's not.
Yep.
And then I get to know him, and then I visit him, and then I see, like, this is really how he is. And it's hard for me to hear the, Hiller's just a fucking asshole comments. It's hard.
Because there's layers to people, right? It's
Hiller is like I would say he's like an onion that big. And there's like 1,000 layers on that onion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like most people, though. But I think his onion's a little bigger.
Well, yeah.
He's a little bit bigger onion. And there's lots to him. And I felt bad, especially coming back from Chicago. I think it even hit me even more like, oof, you know, that sucks that there was such a misjudgment on my part.
And it's funny too. And babe, you brought this up last night, and it's to just show it. You had that opinion, right? And obviously, we know that Haley Adams had a certain opinion about Hiller, but somehow he was able to do a video with her, and he was able to have a girl struggling with what she's struggling with, and trying to just survive, kind of, in a certain sort of way.
Yeah.
And she trusted him enough to make that video. You trusted him enough to let him coach you and let him in and have heavy conversations with him. And there's got to be a layer of him that allows for that type of trust, that doesn't just, oh, I'm a dick one day, and then, oh, here I am and I'm fine and whatever, and people trust me now. Like, that doesn't just happen. People can't just do that. And he did. So what I'm saying is there's more to the onion. He's not just a douche on YouTube, or if people want to call him that, if some do.
I'll answer that, but I need to pause for 1 second. Okay, Jake, I'm just going to do a whole swath super quick. I'd rather be 3 foot tall.
I didn't see what it is, so
I'd rather have the eyes of a snail, and would oh my, or maybe I'd rather have the claws. I know you like arseholes, and yeah, yes. Jake asked a lot of questions.
Pull up this one. I like this one because we're gonna get into this that Jake put up. Wow, that wasn't the one. I was gonna pull up this one. People are scared of men like Hiller, and yeah, I do think that there's a definite element of that.
Here's what I think. I think that there's a human element, and then I think that there's maybe just an element that's maybe more female, if that makes sense. Like, I think a lot of females like myself, maybe there is some subconscious thing where you want to feel protected by somebody, and Hiller's a fucking pit bull. And I'm sure this wasn't something that I thought about here, but I can see it now for sure. Like, I know that as long as I'm working with him, nothing's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I have a question. When now you have been working with him for weeks and you've gotten to know him very differently than the persona that was given in the light of his YouTube videos and in seeing him in that light. And when you were talking about it, I could see you kind of have, like, your face kind of changed. Like, do you almost feel, I don't know if guilty is the right word, or do you feel like you almost, or punishing yourself, like you didn't give him a chance before? And if you never asked him to be your coach, it saddens you to think that you would only have saw him that way? Because the internet, we give what we choose to give. Hiller very much seems like that person, because I think what you've given him is permission to show the person side of him. So do you almost feel a sense of sadness that, like, if you didn't take this huge risk and this huge challenge, that you would have only saw him in the asshole role
Oh
and
yeah.
you punish yourself a little bit, or not. I don't even know if punish, but like feel guilty, a little sad about it. Like, I don't even know if punish is the right word, but I could, when you were saying it earlier, I could see like your demeanor change. Like, it makes you sad that you saw him that way. But also remember, that's the way he presented himself. So now you get to see him differently.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to like beat myself up too bad there. I know I get like really emotional, but yeah, like I did like kick my own ass there for a while because I felt awful. You know, like how did I not know everything that I learned? Like, how did I not know any of this?
Mhm.
And
But I
yeah,
think I think we don't I think we don't know if we never ask. And we don't know if we never sit down together and have a conversation. And now, I mean, you've taken it to the leap of like, "Hey, be my coach." Like, we're going to have, and he said yes, and now you're going to have those very in-depth conversations because he wants you to succeed, you want to succeed, and there's that relationship that's forming. But I think it's something really important to note that if you can assume all you want, you won't actually know if you don't actually ask. And so
totally.
now it's like the permission of like, okay, so and so said this, something was said this way, this one DM'd me, this one criticized this one said this. You know what? I'm going to ask. I'm going to have that conversation. What did you mean by this? Or you said this. And it gives almost permission and the confidence and the strength to have those uncomfortable conversations more than maybe we would have before.
Hmm.
So I think that's one of the things that you have given him, is that as much as he's giving you permission to ask people more questions, I think that you've given him permission to show a different side of him, like him talking to you, and then the Haley documentary or whatever, which he probably would have never done before.
God, I'm sure he would have. I think he would have.
That's cool.
I
I
wonder. Oh no, go ahead.
I think it's good that people, like they should get to see his very many layers.
Mhm.
Well, you put up on IG. I saw it in your stories as well because I stalk your stories constantly. Um, but you put up a little fun, and I don't know who it's from. You just put up something about how they're silencing you guys and you can't be promoted.
Ooh.
HQ. Is it
Um,
HQ? I don't know. You didn't even say who it was. It just was like, I heard that um, we can't talk about you and you guys can't be promoted.
so this came out of a post I had done the previous night, where I was directing my comments to Jonathan Haynes. I should have tagged at least one more person in that one. However, it was a response that came in off that, and it actually wasn't the only one. But that was the first one. And in a weird kind of way, I wasn't shocked because I saw that it was happening for a while. Like CrossFit HQ had always been very supportive of everything that I had done in terms of like,
That's what I was gonna say. They shared your content in the
oh,
past. Like,
oh yeah, all of
yeah,
it. And then one day it just stopped. And I I don't know if I noticed until the lunge video came out, and that one had, it had thousands of likes on it. And it wasn't so much the likes, but CrossFit had gotten tagged in it 200 times. 200 times. And I'm like, what is it about this video that they don't like? And I was like, man, I thought the message was to like help people get into CrossFit. And I was like, if people can see like it's okay to fail, then maybe it will lessen the fear, like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. Because that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of hurting themselves or, oh, what's going to happen if I don't get it?
Yeah, CrossFit's scary for someone that's not already an athlete.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, it's mortifying, like, there is no other word, like, it's terrifying. So I thought, "Man, this is gonna be great to show people," because nobody wants to show those ones. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So I was like, "Well, I gotta start showing that shit because it's okay." And so anyway, so they got tagged like 200 times. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why don't they share this? So, I mean, it had been like kind of spinning around for a while. And I'm like, why won't they? I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. And then I get these DMs. And, I have peeps at HQ that I could call on at any time. And I do. And I was like, have you heard this? And they were like, yes. I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you very much. So that was that.
So obviously we can see, and I don't wanna my girl Jody. Yeah, remember I predicted HQ would distance themselves from this duo. Their CrossFit HQ is just dumb. Yeah, I do remember I do remember that you said that.
Mhm.
Um, so because I noticed it. I mean, I noticed it after you said I didn't notice after Jody Lynn said it, but I noticed it after you, like, told me that, "Hey, there's no they're not featuring Hiller and I, they're not featuring behind the scenes, they're not putting up, a lot of things
Well,
that."
that until this came to light, I never noticed that they hadn't shared behind the scenes. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
I didn't either, I didn't recognize it either.
It wasn't until this shit happened that I started recognizing some of the other ones. I'm like, wait a second. Wait, okay. And so anyway, so that's why I did the post, just because I thought it was bullshit. But um I think the hurtful thing was that these conversations were actually happening. Like, really? Like, I guess if you're that, maybe that's just something I didn't think about. Maybe that's
So,
just it was me being
I'm
naive.
gonna reach out on a limb and just say that, they've shared your content before. Obviously, you've been, I think I remember it with you, John Glaude. Like it was a mainstay back in the day. They shared your content all the time. Now all of a sudden they don't want to share your content. They don't want to talk about you. They don't, uh, miraculously today, and my wife sent me the picture of it when it was a CrossFit promotion. CrossFit is for everybody, whatever. The photo that they used for it was not you, but kind of could have been you. And even Hiller said on Simon's podcast that it that's a very interesting photo that they chose to use because it was kind of it looked like some of the photos that you have put out or content that you have put out.
You know what? That's not what I care about, honestly. I don't care that it's not about that. I think that there's certain things that I wish that they would share just because we're trying to address either fears. We're trying to address some of the main problems that at least I see in the LBA community. If the whole fucking point is to get people in CrossFit, especially demographics that wouldn't join CrossFit before, and you're out there saying, hey, we have this goal of 30 million people. Well, how the fuck are you going to get 30 million people without 50% of the population, which happens to be larger bodied? So here I am. I'm out there trying to address the LBA population's major, like, here's the fears, here's the problems. And the fact that they're not willing to share that stuff's not connected to Hiller. But fine. I mean, you want to be upset at
So
Hiller.
we're in agreement that they're stifling you because you are associated with Hiller.
What other fucking reason is there?
Right. So now we've reached the reputation gap.
Whatever.
My
I mean, seriously, like, I
the
talk about this shit all night long and I'm over it. Whatever.
the fun thing is though, and you guys can both like push back at me if you want to, but he's he's literally done everything that they've asked him to do. Right? So, they asked him to behave at the games. He behaved at the games. They asked him You know what I mean? Like,
was
he didn't run around and do whatever the fuck it was that they thought that he was gonna do at the games. He didn't do that. So, he behaved at the games, right? Then we wanted him to, uh, show more empathy and whatever, so he did this whole thing where he stopped videos on Danny Spiegel. Then he, you know, he
I
kind
think I
of
just saw a Danny
stopped.
Spiegel video today, didn't I?
Yeah, but it was good. It was a
Was
happy
it
video.
though?
What? The
Was it?
IG post?
Yeah, was it?
I don't know.
I thought he was calling out her
I don't
no
know.
reps.
Whatever.
Maybe,
But it
maybe
wasn't.
not.
But it wasn't. That's why I said kind of stopped picking on. I said kind of.
I was like, wait a minute. I think
Whatever.
I was like, I don't know.
and Philip, you've got it all wrong. What do you mean I don't check the DEI box? My last name is Perez.
I was like, word. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Word, thank you.
Okay. He's doing the biggest collab of ever, which is with you, and bringing eyes and eyeballs and attention to the larger body community and how to help them, and like, you know what I mean? He made the video on Haley. He even sat down with the dude from Proven and sat
Thank
there,
you.
had empathy, talked it out, had
It
conversation.
was a wonderful conversation. You know what? Like, I think when I was coming here today, I think one of the biggest questions that I have, and this was actually a question that I was talking with someone about last night. If we don't believe it's possible for people to evolve, like, is that where we're at? We're not going to recognize the really good stuff and allow everybody to grow and evolve. Is that where we're at?
So what you're telling me is that all
If
these
you can't do
people,
that, then it's not going to fucking matter what he does. He could make 20 more Haley
Right.
videos and it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference, would it?
And unfortunately, I think that's just the type of person or type of reputation that he has cultivated. So
Well,
no, I
it's
don't think though. I don't think that it will matter how many
he
good
has
things he does.
cultivated that. Yes, he has.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna matter of all the goodness that he is doing
No.
no.
because people are always gonna look at him as the toxic person in CrossFit.
And that and
But I still
Yeah.
have hope that won't be the case. But
Mhm.
And that's funny because CrossFit's all like, hey, we're super ultra inclusive. They have, you know, what PK was talking about, their DEI council, and we're for everybody and whatever. However,
there is no more
if
DEI.
you don't align with
There is.
every single view that we have, you're kicked out on the street. So if you disagree with me, then we're not inclusive anymore and you're gone and bye and we can't talk. So what the like it, somebody can't change opinions, somebody can't learn something new, somebody can't, I don't know, listen to a whole bunch of ideas from a whole bunch of people and come to a new thought process. That's not allowed. If you don't agree with the the teachings and the ethos of whatever CrossFit HQ is right now, oh, sorry, bye. And we're not going to talk to you. You can't, like, never again. That's it. It's over. You're done. You're totally blackballed. We're not going to talk about you. We're going to pretend you're not there.
I mean, is it that though?
That's
mean-
what I see. I mean, you can push back against me all you like, go ahead. I'm happy to do it. But that's what they're showing me as a regular human being that just wants to be fit enough to pick up my kid and play with my grandkids. That's what they're telling me.
Is that what you get out of it?
Yes. For sure.
I respect that.
Because you are the most what you have worked just as hard as anybody else. You have been, I'm about the community, I'm about CrossFit, I'm about the teachings, I'm about whatever. And if they can so easily toss you to the side,
Mhm.
then that's what that tells me. It tells me if I don't agree with you completely, wholeheartedly, and show you in a light that you want to be seen, then I can get thrown out. And then I'm gone and I can never come back and I can never learn something new and come back into the space and show that.
I mean, let's be real here. Okay. CrossFit gets their content from the community. I don't fucking need CrossFit to do what I'm doing. CrossFit needs us, not the other way around. So when you say they tossed us, I mean, did they? I don't think so.
I absolutely think they tossed you.
Who the
I think
fuck? Anybody?
I think they well all
I mean,
any
just
media
keep
they
saying,
didn't
like,
agree
they
with.
keep saying, "Oh, I'm not going to show your lunge." That's not tossing me out. That's me. That's them saying, "We're not going to show you on our social media because you're attached to Hiller." I don't care. If
Okay,
that's
okay, fine. Not tossed you out because you can't get tossed out. But I agree with Philip Kelly.
I think
You
that
got
we need to
blackballed.
make a very strong distinction between what HQ is and what the
Fair.
community is,
Fair.
because I don't give
Okay.
a rat's ass what HQ does.
Yeah, that's me too.
I care about the community and I
yeah.
care about the affiliates.
Yeah.
That's not
Absolutely.
HQ. So, okay, the ones up there running the social media account, if they want to say, okay, Athena can't ever be featured on CrossFit.com again because she's working with Hiller, whatever. It's not going to change what I'm doing out in the community today.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop the seminar. It's not going to stop anything.
Go ahead, babe, if you want to ask.
No, I was just gonna say it's kind of the conversation, baby, that we were having earlier about like exactly what you're saying, the difference between CrossFit HQ and what you guys are doing. At the end of the day, you guys are gonna do what you're doing. You're gonna continue to do what you're doing. You're committed to this for a year and then some. You've been committed to Scale Nation for years and then some. You've been committed to the community and the affiliates and then some. And you will continue to do the work. People in the space will continue to do the work no matter if HQ invites them to the table or not. And it's frustrating because you hear so many conversations and you hear people's frustrations about like HQ should be doing this, they should be doing that, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. That comes back on us because we expect people in HQ to be like us. Like the expectation of how you would do something or how someone else would do something, we tend to kind of put it on other people, wanting them to do the same thing of like, hey, I think this would be really good if you shared it on your platform and reach as many people as you have to follow, because I would also ask someone, hey, you have a really big platform. Let's work together to promote this message, to get it out more, to get more people in the affiliates and that kind of stuff, if that's your message. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to want to do it, but it's not going to stop your work.
Yeah, it's very clear that that's not their message.
It's not going to stop your work.
It's your message, Athena, but it's not their message.
I mean, here's the thing though, too, is like some of the context on this is, yes, Rosie, I agree. It's not the first time it's happened, has it? I mean, let's be real here. There was a few hiccups and little bumpity bumps with the seminar too. And, this isn't the first time that CrossFit's like, well, if you don't do it this way, then,
yeah,
you don't get to be over here. This isn't the first time that Athena had to draw the line and be like, well, I'm going to do it my way. And that's it. Whatever. It doesn't change. Their decision about the seminar didn't change the fact that the seminar went on without them.
The punishment, I want to go back to that word punishment. We were talking about that before and how like we're punishing Hiller or not we, but they are punishing Hiller or whatever. That to me is ego driven. Is if they want to make this statement and they want to try to pretend to punish Hiller, that's just their ego because they're not punishing him. He's still going to do what Hiller's going to do. And he's still doing what's good for the community, whether you like him or not.
Okay.
I
there
see
does
that.
have to be some, like, if somebody was out, constantly saying things about my business, like, I think there needs to be some dual understanding here. Is some of this a surprise? No. I don't think so. Yeah. I think we both need to be real here about how many videos there's been, Some of this is not shocking. And I also don't blame them for feeling what they feel. However, there's a difference between Hiller going out and making these videos or doing a targeted attack on a CrossFit executive and Athena's box jump. Give me a fucking break. You know what I'm saying?
In Hiller's defense, I would push back though, because I would say that maybe it's just because the CrossFit space is just a little bit is smaller than obviously other sports spaces. But if you go to any other sport, everybody's targeting whoever and attacking whoever. Like, it doesn't matter if you're one of the greats of all time or someone that just, you know, you could be. Michael Jordan's been attacked forever. He's one of the greatest of all times, and he's attacked by everybody. LeBron attacked by everybody. You can go into baseball. There, Darryl Strawberry attacked by you know what I mean? I think it's just because CrossFit is this small with this small amount of media, but this is you can go, you can look
Like
up.
it or not, here's the point, Garrett. Like it or not, Andrew created his persona.
Sure.
Whether, you know, he did.
Fair.
I think we can agree on that, right? That was
Absolutely.
Andrew's choice.
Yeah.
And I think that we can also agree that that's that persona that he chose to create, whether he believes all that content is 100% factual or not.
Yeah.
There could be consequences to doing some of those videos. No more than it was like, Athena, there could be a consequence to the video you just did on Sporty Beat. Okay.
I'm just saying the hypocrisy with CrossFit wanting to be called a real sport. And if you want to be called a real sport, then you are going to get all of the media attention that comes with that real sport.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that you have to invite all the media over for dinner either.
True.
Just because they're going to get the media doesn't mean you got to sit down and have some meatloaf. That's not how it works.
Right.
Yeah, every tag that you guys do, CrossFit or anybody in HQ or anybody else or whatever, it's an invitation to sit down. They don't have to, like you said, they
do not have to accept.
Right. They
Doesn't
don't have
like,
to sit down. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
pull out a chair for someone. They don't want to sit down and join you for dinner. They don't have to. They can keep it moving. And it's the same thing. You can keep trying if you want to, but eventually, you know, and decide if it's worth it to keep going. But they don't
Right.
have to if they don't want to.
Correct.
Yep.
So you're catching some of the backlash for it. How you're okay with that?
Some of the backlash for,
Like you're guilty by association. Like,
oh God, yeah.
Andrew,
Totally.
Andrew's guilty by reputation. You're guilty by association.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, hey, I'm going to ride this. Like, let's go. We ride at dawn.
We ride at dawn. I definitely am feeling some of the guilty by association. I get, there's been a couple HQ staff that have been like, well, you know, I think that there's some fears that, you know, when you're around ultra negative people, that some of that is going to rub off on you, or, you know, Hiller's behaviors are going to rub off on you. And I'm like, wow, okay.
That's some of the
People put us in boxes when they meet us and they keep us there and they fight
Well,
very, very hard to keep us a certain way.
Well,
And
the same thing is going to happen for Hiller though.
Mhm.
If he ever tries to do anything different, because what if he does, you know, 10 more Haley video, not on Haley, but you know, what if he goes out in the community and be like, you know, for the next year, I'm only going to do videos on promoting the game's athletes.
You think he's getting backlash for that? Because he's kind of, there's a little bit of change in him you can see in his videos. I mean, I think they've been mostly received by his audience fine.
I don't want to speak for Hiller, but if
But
my
people are telling you that you've changed since you've been with Hiller, do you think, or you think people are telling Hiller he's changed since he has been working with you?
I have no idea. I don't.
That'd be cool.
he doesn't share. Oh, he doesn't. I mean, I don't think he shares a lot with that with me, but I probably share more things that I get with him just because I'm more chatty than he is. But
Yeah.
um, you know, but I mean,
It's just curious because I remember that part where you were talking to him and, you know, people were like, "Hey, Athena, we're worried you're gonna change. You're gonna change. Have you changed? Do you feel like you're losing yourself?" Like,
no, to the contrary, I feel like I'm finding myself.
Yeah, that was what I was
Freaking
my
cool.
point, yeah, that I was trying to make is that when we meet people, they see us a certain way and we're expected to stay that way. You are supposed to stay in the box that people met you in. And anytime that you're trying to punch out of the box, they're trying to close the top on you.
Right.
I get that all the time too. When I was younger, I was a people pleaser. I'd let people walk all over me. I'd let them do it. I was always doing something for everybody else and I never took care of myself. When I start to put boundaries is a big one. When you start to put boundaries with people, they're like, well, I don't like that. I don't like you. I'm like, oh, because I told you no, because I'm growing. I'm finding myself, like you said. And so people are expecting Hiller to stay in the villain box and they're expecting you to stay in the peer box. And if the two mix, then it's like, oh, well, she's going to do this and he's going to do this and he's going to ruin her and all this type of stuff where you're saying, actually, I'm actually finding myself, finding my voice, setting boundaries, speaking my truth, expressing myself differently and saying it's okay to disagree with someone and it's okay if you don't like me because I don't agree with what you're saying or I have a different opinion on what you're saying. And so but people when they see you a certain way, they don't want you to change. And you're at that point where you're like, well, stay or go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Stay or go. Hang out or
What I was gonna say is I think that the reverse can happen, like there when people try to put you in that box, my fear for Hiller is they're not gonna let him out of the box.
Mhm.
They're not gonna allow him to evolve as
Yeah, they're constantly gonna be pushing the top on it and, like,
his
putting it
content
yep,
can
yep,
evolve.
yep. And he also can stay very true to who he is, which he has.
yeah,
Yes.
Which he has.
you
So
have the Haley Adams video, you have the Stu video with you, and then you have
Frank.
the right.
Frank. His name is Frank.
And it wasn't a bad like it you know what I mean? But it it can evolve. It's not wrong. He is evolving. You can see it. It's happening. That Frank video was great. I'm not even gonna
Every
lie.
every meme. My favorite one was the headache one. It was like the
Um,
headache, the migraine, the something, and then the whole head was red. It was a Frank headache. Did you see that one? That one was
Jeffrey,
hilarious.
Hiller is I would not call him chatty like I call myself chatty. No.
Oh, big Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Let's go.
He's
Jeffrey
not
number 1.
he's not as chatty as I am. No.
When we were talking about change though, I don't want to miss this opportunity to
Yes, PK, sorry.
I I can't. Half the time they're talking to each other, half the time they're and I don't know I'm not good at this yet. I'm trying to be good at it, but I'm not. But half the time you were talking about the change, Hiller's change, your change. What about the change from your community? Because I know that it's a big fear that if you do change, like you do all this work for yourself, you go work hard, work out. Because I know we're at day 50, you've lost 34 pounds, like where you guys both seem like you're on a great trajectory and your group tends to be that group that is fearful, and if you change, then you're not part of the group anymore.
I did get a few of those, when we first started, but I haven't gotten any lately. And, throughout this process, there's times and nights where I get super, reflective. And I think one of the things that I came to about a week or two ago was I kind of liken this to when I started back in 2017. I actually started with my best friend, and we were friends for 20 years from high school. And we both started the journey together. And long story short, I don't know, she just stopped, 4 or 5 months in. And then by the end of that year, I was getting the comments that sounded more like, well, Athena, I don't know why you want to call me. I don't know why you want to talk to me. You have all your CrossFit friends now. And it was like this, within 2 or 3 weeks later, she quit talking to me and we haven't spoken in 6 years.
She felt like she felt like you left her.
Yeah.
Right. But correct.
Mhm.
But it took me a really long time to understand that had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her.
Mhm.
And I look at every single one of the people in my following exactly the same way. Am I blessed and grateful that you're here? I'm honored that you're here. But if any time your personal season is not in alignment with my now personal season, it's okay to unfollow. I'm not going to hold it against anybody that feels like, hey, our seasons are not in alignment.
Mhm.
And it's okay.
And there's that saying that not every person that comes into your life is meant to stay your whole life. They're meant to be in there for seasons. I forget who it was. He
Same
makes an
concept.
analogy of like a tree. You have your roots, you have your root friends that are there, and then you have the leaves. And through every season, the leaves grow and then they fall. And not everybody's meant to stay. But that's heartbreaking to hear that it was someone that you had been friends with for so long. And but
When
yeah.
your life changes and people, well, like, I mean, this goes like, I've had people unfollow me and they'll come to the train station and they'll announce the departure, Athena, I'm unfollowing you because of this. And some of the things that they have said are like, like, I find the chalkboard annoying. Okay. I
Sure.
don't like seeing the numbers on the chalkboard, or I can't, like, you share this too much, or I mean, holy Moses, like,
That's a lot of expectations on you.
no, here's how I see it. When you're not in a good place, and the only reason I can say this confidently is because I have done the exact same thing. Back in the fall, when I wasn't my strongest and I was frustrated, if I would see people, making all kinds of progress and they looked happy, I'd be like, I didn't want to see that because it was reminding me that I wasn't where I wanted to be. We've all done it, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
some of it is very subconscious, but I'm guilty of it too. And that's why I know I can speak so confidently on it. I used to do it all the time. So when I see that, or when they say things like that to me now, I'm like, I get it. I'm always here if you decide to come back.
I think that's what the culture's kind of fallen into a little bit, right? So you have health at every size, and it's basically like once you're in, John Glaw just made a video about this. Once you're in the health at every size like group, you can't leave now. Like you just have to be, if you leave, then you're shunned, you're canceled, you're whatever. If you do anything to better yourself, like it's pretty much you don't have the support anymore. People aren't going to follow you. They're going to try to cancel you.
I don't know necessarily if that was accurate. I've never experienced that with the Hayes group. I have with Fat Acceptance.
Okay.
So
The two of them, to me, the more that I watch about both, the culture that they become, it's kind of the same thing.
yeah, that's probably accurate. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've seen. And so it's again, and I'll beat a dead horse, but it's another organization that it's like, if you don't align with exactly what we want you to align with, you
That's
can't be here.
It's true. Yeah. It was one of the reasons early on that the seminar never really attached itself to any of the social movements, just because
That's what they all are like. And
oh
I'm sorry. I mean, I'll say it because I'm outside of the loop or whatever, but that's what I see when it comes to CrossFit HQ, when it comes to all these different humongous corporations or whatever. If you don't believe exactly what I believe in and you don't just beat the drum for this, then you're out. Like, I heard your dog. Love your dog. And I probably know which one it is too, Poppy.
Now the seminar is attached to Jake, and it's a chicken sausage movement. I mean,
There you go. I
all
like
I'm
it.
asking a lot is if you guys want to make them when I come out, that'd be great.
Jake, you gonna cook for her? Can I see that video? Can I see the video where Jake and Jan Clark cook for you?
You should see his picture.
I mean, I'm just saying, I want aprons too. Like when they cook, I'm gonna need there to be shirtless apron videos.
I have all 3 of them, and they are lovely.
I'm sure they are lovely. I would lovely like to see them in an apron with no shirt cooking for you.
That would be awesome. That would be cool.
Right? Like, come on now.
Yeah. A cookbook. I know.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see your ass.
I haven't.
Chesticles, my man. Testicles.
I haven't been doing any meals lately. I was doing a lot of prep though. I'll get back on that next week.
The other thing we were going into a lot of stuff, but did you see the open announcement at all? Did you see the workout?
I did.
You're in the open?
Yep.
How are you feeling?
I'm fine, actually. I seriously do not freak out the way that everybody freaks out. I don't get it.
Everybody freaks
I was
out.
talking to Kim earlier today, and she's like, "Well, Athena, it's the competition and blah blah blah." And I'm like, competition with myself? I ain't going to the games. You know what I mean? I can see where people are in that very competitive spirit and they want to find out where they're at on the leaderboard, but I have never been really. I didn't do it for that. I never did. When I get the workout, it's just I look at the workout and I'm like, all right, it really just comes down to what can I do? If I think there's an opportunity to move up, like I don't want to box myself into foundations. If I can go to scaled, or in this particular case, could I do RX? I could. Now I wouldn't get very far, but if this is all about strategy, then I would enroll myself in foundations, do the RX workout, and I'm going to be way ahead of the pack.
Right. Yeah.
Probably going to be the strategy.
Yeah, because no matter what, if you get that 135 pounds,
if I get one,
right,
it's going to be way. It's going to be way higher than the other one. So that's probably the strategy for this one. I don't see like the total volume. I already know I'm going to cap out. Whatever.
I mean, all of us would be like, I'm going to cap out. Burpees, me, yeah. I'm capping out.
I'm like 90 burpees. Like
this dumbbell snatch is fine. I'll do dumbbell snatches all day, but burpees,
same.
That's it. I'm stuck in 15 somewhere. one of the 15s. If I did it RX, one of the 15s. I'm stuck. Yeah. So
totally true.
What do you without Hiller? I mean, obviously we'll see what Hiller wants to do to scale for you, but what's your thought process for how you want to scale this one for you?
I don't think I'm going to be scaling.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. My bad, but like if you do foundations or whatever, what do the movements look like for you?
On this one, we're going to probably do RX.
Oh, you're going to get it.
No, we're going to freaking go for it.
Okay, lady. I like it.
Now,
look at you with bass in your voice. That
well, the point is, it is a competition. The point is to score as high on the leaderboard as possible. If I can do the movements RX, why would I not do that?
Oh, okay. Good for you. Okay. So is it more important to do, like, in my head, I would be like, oh, I'm just going to do 15 minutes worth of movement, get as far as I can get. I got a 15-minute workout at intensity in.
No, because I can do a different workout. When you look at this, it's like, okay, yes, it is a competition. And yeah, I do look at it like I've never looked at it that way before, but I'm like, all right, let's play the game this year. The whole point is to get as high on the leaderboard as possible. Well, that comes with strategy. So if I
Okay.
can do the movements RX, why not attempt to go RX? It doesn't
Oh,
mean I'm going to get very far. It means that I have the capacity to do those movements as prescribed.
right.
It doesn't mean I'm going to get volume, but I can do the movement. So if that's the case, then why not do it? I
I
might only get through one round, whatever. It's okay. There you go. There you
I
go.
get I get that because I got when I first was able to do an open workout RX, but knew I wasn't gonna do muscle ups, or I knew I wasn't gonna do. There was one workout where it was like ascending snatches,
Right.
squat snatches, and I knew I was only gonna get through that first barbell and of course I did it because I was so proud of myself that I could do the RX movement. So I
Yeah.
didn't.
So what I would do, and that's happened to me plenty of times. In fact, there's a post on my Instagram where I had to do that very thing. I could do the first two movements RX, and then I couldn't do the third and fourth ones. So what happened was is I busted through the first two, and then that's where the score stopped.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then I just did the rest of the two movements. They didn't have foundations back then, but I just did it the way that I could do them. But my score sheet stopped there. Who the shit cares after that? Stop the score. This is for the open. This is regulation. And then get the rest of your workout in.
But I get how proud it is that you can do the movements RX. Like, remember, babe, that overhead, there was an overhead squat workout with double unders, and it was like 100 double unders, and it took me like 95% of the time to do the stupid double unders, and I had like 3 minutes to try to get a ring, and I was never gonna get a ring muscle up,
Mhm.
but who cared? I did the first 2 movements
Yep.
RX, like, that was like a moment of, like, legit pride
Mhm.
in it. So I get it. That's cool.
So on these ones, like, do I have the capacity to do a burpee from the ground? Yeah. Do I have the capacity to do the weight for RX women on the snatches all day long? It just means that the burpees for me are just going to be they're going to be a lot longer. Let's be
Right.
real. So I might only make it through one round, but if I do one round on RX versus trying to do the whole workout on foundations, my score is still going to be higher. So
And you did a lot of RX reps. Like, that's still, 1 round, like 21s.
yeah,
That's a like, yes, girl.
it might
Absolutely.
take all 15 minutes to get 20,
Yeah, I hear ya.
but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I I hope people do hear that, though. Whatever it is that you wanna do and whatever goal that you wanna set for yourself, whatever the score is for you is okay. It
Like, I started getting a bunch of them as soon as the open announcement was going. Like, my whole Instagram just went, and the majority of them were like, Athena, there's 90 burpees. Like, I can't do that. I'm like, maybe not.
maybe not.
If you get through 5, freaking awesome. If they were the hardest 5 that you did, and it took you all 15 minutes to get 5, and that is your very best, then it's a win.
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know what you guys stress over.
we talked about this a lot, and the the open gets very stressful for some people. Maybe it's
I sometimes I wonder if that is it really because it's stressful, or is that the environment of that particular box? It has never been stressful for me ever.
Mhm.
Maybe that first year because I didn't understand it.
yeah. But yeah, yeah, the box can make it stressful, and the fact that there are, I mean, it's the community that you foster, it's the environment that you foster.
I think a lot of that has to do with whatever culture is
You
in the
have at
box.
your gym.
Yep, for sure.
Well, we'll see. Culture is coming. What else? What's up next, lady?
Let's see.
I saw something about Brazil in there. I saw.
I posted that because that story came from a box in Brazil. It had a really nice Glassman quote, and I think it was a nice reminder, like what CrossFit started for. And then there was a bunch of comments on that was like, take that, Stu. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, how was that? I'm sorry, I totally forgot to ask you about that. I meant to do that like way earlier, but how was that? Hiller actually got you to sit down with someone else that you were like, about, and you had a whole conversation and buried the hatchet. How was that?
that moved very quickly, didn't
Yeah.
it? That was super fast. Mhm. I think he only did that because I had reached out to Stu and said, you know, if the invite is still open, I'd like to be able to talk about it. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that either. They're like, well, who the fuck cares? It's been 3 years. I'm like, I care.
Yeah, it hurt you.
It hurt me. You know, like I had an 8-minute hit video. Everybody's like, oh, you don't know what they go through. I don't. Yes, I do. I've had one of myself, you know, and Stu's 8-minute hit video was horrendous. It was bad, like bad.
I saw it. I watched it afterwards.
It was,
How did you take his apology? Were you really like, you seemed like you sincerely took it and was just like, "Hey, cool."
you know,
But
I really believe like I'm at a place of peace with it, but I'm also at a place with peace with Stu. You know, like he explained how and why it happened. He admitted that he didn't get any information before he put that mouth sludge out. Whatever, forgiven. You know what I mean? Like get some facts before you go post a video, or at least something. Could you get something correct? And there wasn't one point in his video where I was like, well, okay, you know, let me be objective. He got me on that one. No, not a single one. He didn't even have the information on CrossFit correct, which is why when I showed this to Greg originally, Greg was like, oh, we're gonna go on this podcast and we're gonna fucking fry him, you know? And I was really looking forward to that until I chickened out. And that chickening out is what I held on to. Like,
yeah,
it was a regret. I should have faced him when it happened.
because you didn't get to say what you wanted to
I
say
don't
in the moment.
well, you
Or
know,
did
because
you maybe
when
it
I
was
met
good that
with
you cooled
social
down for 3 years. I think if you'd have answered him in the moment at the time, that might have been bad for his health.
it
You
would have,
probably
you
needed 3 years to chill out.
know, like I didn't really say that much to him. So I don't think it had as much to do with like me needing to tell him how it was. It was more like I needed to have the conversation. I needed to be brave enough to sit across from him and talk to him like a human.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fine. No, I do think that that's something fun that's coming out of this being in the bat. It's something fun that is coming out of the collaboration. Where we're seeing people who wouldn't normally sit down at the table together, sit down at the table and have conversations that are difficult and also helpful. And so much so that it's so annoying when like I want to be like, God, just sit at the table. And they don't, and they push back so hard and they're so annoying about it. And it it's like, hey, it's possible. It's possible to do. Just don't be triggered for 5 freaking seconds.
I I thought the conversation for me was like it just allowed me to put it down. It's the best way I can describe it. Like that's something that I don't have to carry around anymore. If anything, it was more symbolic than anything. I didn't really talk to him that much. Hiller did most of the talking. So for me, it was just like a chapter that I get to close. Like I don't have to carry it around anymore. So it was
Hey, I wonder what would happen if I don't know, CrossFit HQ put it down and it was a chapter that they didn't have to carry around anymore and just sat at the fucking table. Like
that's always an option. It's always an option.
I mean, it's you've shown with this collaboration that that it is like Hiller, no rep Hiller, bat Hiller, like coming at you in hot first 10 minutes of that, like just hot Hiller. You've shown that he can sit down and have like conversations with people that don't like him, to put it as nicely as I can. He's shown it
I
a
think you're
couple times now.
putting it as truthful as it is.
And he's done it. He's had enough of like just, it's not all about him. It can be about somebody else too. And they can have a conversation about it. And he can understand where they were coming from.
Yeah.
So it's really funny to me that HQ can't, or grown ass adults can't do it.
Well, just because they haven't doesn't mean they can't.
Okay, fine, fair.
Doesn't mean they won't.
You're
They
not
just
letting me have Petty Wop Wednesday, but it's okay. You're right. You're not wrong.
means that they haven't yet.
Right.
But I think that we need to define too, like what coming to the table is. You know, like could any of those executives reach out to Hiller and just have a one-on-one conversation? They could have.
Could they
Just
reach
like
out to you and have a conversation?
Huh?
Could they reach out to you and have a conversation?
I mean, they don't owe me anything.
They
Have
don't owe
conversation.
Hiller anything either, but it's just the principle of being a. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was
going to say it's just the principle of being a good human being and being an adult and having the capacity and the wherewithal to do that.
I'm not having a riff with CrossFit. So like I haven't gone out and made videos about anybody at CrossFit. You know what I mean? Like it's not, CrossFit is not my issue. Does CrossFit do some things like the text thing that I showed? Like these conversations are actually real. Are you fucking serious? Okay. Does that disappoint me? Yeah, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go make a video on it.
Right.
I shared it and I'm like, I see you. And if this is what you want to do, fine. And that's the end of it. They don't need to call me. Now, what I'm saying is this has been a very long history already. This has been going on for a while.
But when
they
but they call you and ask for your help and then they blackball you. So it's like, I'll talk to you when I feel like it, but
basically,
but I'm not going to acknowledge, like, are you the mistress? Like, I'll talk to you quietly, but I'm not going to put you on Facebook, or I'm not going to put you on Instagram, or I'm not going to put you like,
I don't even want to, like, I have no idea.
It's weird.
Knows?
It's weird. But you guys are doing a great job, and I love the bean in the bat, and I love the story. How are you feeling with are you feeling anything physically with the weight loss? Anything easier, harder? Anything you've noticed? I mean, 34 pounds is a lot of pounds.
Talking is easier. Talking's easier. I don't hate my face as much. You know, like talking or seeing myself in a Zoom call getting easier.
I've noticed you're upright a little more, you're walking a little taller, and like I've said for a couple weeks now, you got that bass in your voice now. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I even had to ask you what that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. Like all good things.
Has anybody else seen it? Like, do they tell you? I'm sure there's got to be a ton of people that tell you.
My family sees me pretty often, and my mom, she was like, "Holy cow!" You know, like it's becoming noticeable. You know how, like, especially when you have a lot of weight to lose, and this is harder when you have a larger body. You know, like when you're small and you lose 20 or 30 pounds, you're like, "Whoa, holy shit!" You can notice it right away. When you have as much as I have to lose, that 20 or 30 pounds isn't quite as noticeable. So that when like my family starts noticing, or my mom who sees me all the time starts noticing it, then it's like, oh, then I feel like that's pretty cool.
I think it's more fun that we're noticing it in your personality and the way that you carry yourself more than we're noticing it in your body.
I mean, to me, that's the greatest compliment of my life. If
That
that's where it's showing up, that's pretty damn cool.
that's what I've noticed the most, and to me also, that is so cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah. You almost look like a totally different person, and that's fun.
That found her voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I always had a voice, but like this is a whole new level. So
Yep. It was muted a little bit, and now
yeah,
we're
I think like
raising.
always there. She was just on mute. That's all. She was back here talking. I don't think the talking has ever changed. I think it was just on low volume. And she just turned up the volume. That's all. And
I
you know
like
what?
it.
I think that there is something to be said for like, look, when you have like a really strong person, and I obviously I can't speak for Haley or how Haley felt when Taylor did the video with her, but here's what I can say in that like when you're a strong woman, like trying to find somebody that's way stronger than you,
Yeah.
like I knew it was gonna take somebody that somebody.
Have you seen that meme yet? It's like the mother lion that is like going to like protect her kid, and it's all about like, hey, the mother can do this because look what's behind her, and it's like the big father lion that's like, I'm she knows that he's behind her. She knows that this dude's got her back, that there's like a predator behind her that's ready to take care of her and protect her. When you have that source, screw that. Like,
Your voice gets strong.
yeah, man. Like I'm gonna talk a ton if I got a freaking lion behind me.
Mhm.
And if you're telling me that Hiller's not a lion, like whatever.
I mean,
If that dude,
I think some of that is very psychological, but it would not surprise me in the least if like I don't think it's so much like, oh, I'm gonna go and act out and I know the Hiller's gonna catch me when I get my
no,
ass in
I'm
trouble.
not
No,
saying that,
it's
but I'm
more
just,
like it's 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 the permission by somebody very strong to be the person that you already are.
yeah. And all he's doing is helping you find that person, and then one day you're not gonna need him standing behind you for that video. You know what I mean? Like, you'll make your own video. You'll say,
Well, I don't know if I would. I don't. No, I was like,
well,
nah.
wait,
To be making
listen, it's
kind of
been hold on, it's been 50 days. You've already been in a Hiller video. You've already been like, you're already talking smack out here with a high volume. I don't want to see what happens after a year of Hiller standing behind you, and then all of a sudden it's like, eh,
well,
come on. We got what, 315 days to go. I feel
I know
like there's gonna be some extra changes.
it's gonna be great.
It
It's
is
gonna,
gonna be great.
yeah. You just wait. There's some good stuff coming.
It's cool. Lady, thank you so much. I always appreciate it when you do this.
Thanks for
And I
having
always love hearing the updates, and especially these type of updates is very cool.
Mhm.
you.
So
Been fun, everybody.
good luck in the open. Let us know, please.
I will. I will. I will.
All the videos.
I will.
All right, girl.
Bye.
Bye. Ugh, so cool. Super cool.
Yep.
All right. Being in the bat, very special time. This is gonna be a crazy couple weeks. And thank you everybody for hanging out. Um, and we'll see her, I guess, she's going to the UK.
May, I think.
Yeah,
we
that's
said. Yep.
what, yeah. So,
Yep.
and Jan Clark, if you're still in here, bro, you got to come on. Like, dude, So thanks guys for hanging out. Go enjoy everything else that's happening tonight. I know there's a lot happening tonight. So thanks again.
Bye, guys.
Glenn, thanks. Out.